Alright, hey people, welcome back to my stream, and I just woke up, feel refreshed, and I think I can do like an hour or 2 hours worth of streaming before I get to work. Alright, might be a good, vocal warm-up of the day. So we're continuing where we left off with, Kanae going back to her, dream state nightmare thing. Last thing that we had was she was in the station. She is the president of the LCSC club, the local community service club, and they were doing like some donations thing, fundraising thing. Then somehow we are transported back in the nightmare world. She is talking to MC. She wasn't able to describe why she wasn't really fun mentioning her experiences, such as her game against the Siege King. We find out that she's called like the immortal princess, so despite having her body parts being torn out for the Siege game, it regrows, but the experience of, you know, having your fingers being cut off and all that still doesn't go out. So this is practically still practically a similar suffering. This makes me wonder what kind of psychological issues she suffers that she dreams of such things. Anyway, let's continue. The hellish pain, getting my fingers and arm torn off, all of it. It was then I noticed the rowdy audience of card soldiers had completely vanished. The only ones there were me, Mr. Rabbit, and the pimple-faced bastard himself, the Siege King. What happened to the siege match? The audience was gone, so did that mean it was over?
で、うさぎさん、勝負はどうなったわけ？頑張ったよ。僕はすごく頑張ったんだ。
Wait, my headset got unplugged.
僕ちん大苦戦したんでちゅ大ピンチの連続だったんでちゅよ。
ああ、もういいわ。なんかおいらオチが分かったわ。
Several large pieces of various shapes were strewn across the siege board, but they were all black. Not even one of our red pieces was to be found.
すっごく頑張ったけど全滅したわけね。ごめんよ。エリスが倒れてる間に絶対決着をつけようと思ったんだよ。おいらの指だの腕だの肌の目玉だのを引っこ抜いて潰して。ごめんよ。本当に頑張ったんだよ。信じてよ、エリス。
というわけでエリス姫、僕ちんとの約束は守ってもらいますよ。
約束ってなんだっけ？寝る前に必ず歯を磨く。だ、この国がこいつの。
Oops. No.
そしてお前さんは僕ちんの家族に加わるのでちゅ。僕ちんはセチュでの約束はいつも守ってきましたでちゅよ。
そうだね。オイラが勝った時にもちゃんと約束は守ったね。
そうでちゅ。これまでいっぱい負けてお小遣いをあげてきましたでちゅよ。
Oh, is that how she gets her money?
だから今度はエリス姫が約束を守る番なのでちゅよ。僕ちんの新しい家族に加わってみんなで幸せになるでちゅ。新しい家族をみんなも歓迎してくれるでちゅよ。
still have no idea what he means by joining his family. Ooh boy, I wanted to tell him my mom was enough family for me, but
仕方ないなあ。
he'd just get in a really bad mood and throw a fit if I said no anyway. Fine, but this is just for pretend, alright? Nothing more.
家族愛は何にも勝る愛情なのでちゅ。エリス姫にもそれが分かってもらえて、僕ちんは本当に嬉しいでちゅ。
へいへい。
おっと、家族でないやつがいるでちゅね。お前さんはもうあっちへ行けでちゅよ。
Oh, MC's here.
耳は疲れる
Oh, the rabbit? I thought the MC was able to finally join. The Siege King pulled on Mr. Rabbit's ears and threw him off into the distance. Well, there he went, like a home run in baseball.
さあさあ、これで今度こそ家族水入らずでちゅよ。でも、新しい家族になる前には必要なイニシエーションがありまっちゅ。
へいへい。家族ごっこはめんどくさいね。
ではエリスは僕ちんたちの新しい家族に加わりまちゅって誓うのですよ。
I'd hate saying anything someone forced me to say, especially since I didn't want to say I'd be part of his pimply-faced bastard's family even as a joke. But I'd lost, so I'd have to keep my end of the bargain. No, I couldn't sound embarrassed saying it. This scum was the kind of guy who'd get off on that. I had to say it plain and simple.
エリスはセチュの王様の新しい家族になります。
There, I said it. Happy now? But right before I could say that, the world went dark as if someone flipped a light switch. The sky's colors were wondrous, typical of a night in Wonderland. It wasn't black as crow's feathers like it was in the other world. A dazzling silver moon shone in the heavens. Countless fairies danced rainbows across the sky. It would have been a magical sight if I were the only one here. That is.
どんな景色もあんたと一緒じゃ興ざめだね。
Oh shit, can I? When I turned around, I almost jumped when I saw his face. His face basically. When I saw his eyes and nose right in front of me. His usual privileged expression was nowhere to be found. Instead, he gave me a sharp glare that sent shivers down my spine. One I'd never seen from him before. I'd always found the Siege King annoying, but never once had he actually scared me. Overcome with fear, I fell on my backside. The Siege King smirked as if he found it amusing. And just like that, he was back to his usual dumb grin on his ugly, pimply face.
嬉しいでちゅよ、エリス。そして、もう寂しくないでちゅよ。エリスには互いを思い合う大勢の家族ができたのでちゅから。
Nothing in this world is more sacred and more wonderful than familiar love. Romantic love is held as the most sacred love of all. But when you really think about it, it's based on the substantial scale known as lust. Repulsion wouldn't say. Romance and the like are nothing but fancy garments to drape over lust. And then the end of their rampage, living divorce and destruction of familiar love. Repulsive, utterly repulsive.
僕ちんはね、思うのでちゅよ。家族愛とは男女の性差を飛び越えた真の愛情。
Oh shit, this is sexual. You're going for that kind of bullshit.
人は肉欲という煩悩から解放されるためにその根源となる性差を克服せねばならないのでっちゅう。だから僕ちんは伝えたい。家族の愛の素晴らしさを。
Gross. Does he fancy himself as a philosopher or something? Whatever. Guess I'll just play along. Whatever puts him in a good mood. The Siege King reached for his pumpkin trousers straight out of the picture book and slipped them off. I was taken aback, expecting to see the embarrassing sight of 2 ugly legs in underwear. But what I saw there defied all expectations.
突然で驚かせちゃいましたでちゅね。
He did indeed have legs, but not 2 of them. How many? I couldn't begin to count. There were too many, because the Siege King's lower half was like a caterpillar to the size of a human. I couldn't take my eyes off that horrifying sight, those countless legs constantly squirming the pattern of venomous dark red blotches.
僕ちんのまだら模様いかがでちゅか。綺麗でちゅ。これからは驚くことはないんでちゅよ。だって家族なんでちゅからね。今度僕ちんのお城で紹介する他の家族たちもみんな綺麗な模様なんでちゅよ。
He reached for his neck as if he was taking off a sweat-drenched shirt. And then, with a wet, slithering noise, he slid his upper body off.
今日は暑かったから汗でびちょびちょでちゅよ。
The body I thought was the Siege King himself was sloppily thrown aside. He was a giant caterpillar, covered in odious red and black spots. The only thing that remained the same was the disgusting spimple face of his. I felt like I was going mad from shock. That was why the aspect of him was actually a minor relief to me. His countless legs wriggled loudly as he slithered over to me. Still frozen where I sat, I could only watch as he covered my body with his.
何するの？
Sorry, I'm fixing my chair.
僕ちんの芋虫ランドの家族に加わるのでちゅかな。エニスにも家族みんなとお揃いの素敵な芋虫模様になってほしいのでちゅよ。
With a squishy noise, something came out. The giant caterpillar hanging over me had released something from his abdomen. It was soft and squishy. The long object was sickening dark red on the inside and had a tube with a large tip at the end like a lance. Strings of white mucus blotched with red dangled with it from the tip like a nosebleed. The giant caterpillar let out a strained grunt, and when he did, something filthy like nasal discharge dripped out of the tip. It was colorful and repulsive, reddish-green concoction, not unlike blood with sickly green snot.
大丈夫でちゅよ。怖くないでちゅよ。アリスを芋虫ランドの家族に迎えるための大切なイニシエーションなのでちゅよ。
The tube brushed my calf, knee, and thigh, leaving traces of his bloody mucus on me as it did. And then the tube's sharp tip pushed slightly against my thigh.
痛いしやめない。
大丈夫でちゅよ。でちゅよ。
I don't like what this is implying.
エリスにも今ムシランドの新しい家族にふさわしい素敵なまだら模様を描いてあげまちゅよ。そうしたらエリスは身も心も僕ちんたちの家族なのでちゅ。
Stabbing sound assaulted my ears. Oh, that's CG. Oh my god. The stick too plunged deeper into my left thigh. The pain wasn't anything like being injected with a syringe. No, it was like having both a rusty dagger and a metal pole shoved into me. Wait, she knows the feeling of a rusty dagger and a metal pole being shoved onto her? The Siege King was no longer speaking as if in a human language. He let out the monster's roar, benefiting his appearance as he kept thrusting the tube in and out. My mind was full of pain, terrifying chills and nausea. I couldn't even breathe. But before long, the Siege King let out a chilling roar, and I felt a disgusting surge of heat rush into me. I took a look toward the tube's tip and discovered part of my inner thigh swelling up with a fist-sized lump. Before long, eerie and repulsive spots of brilliant colors surfaced from within the lump. The Siege King's eyes rolled back as he crackled, giving his body over to pleasure I didn't want to imagine. She's turning into a caterpillar. He slowly pulled the tube out. A reddish-brown goop dripped out of the hole in the lump of my inner thigh. The lump shivered, and an eerie, vivid spot pattern akin to odious caterpillars rose to the surface. But I haven't reached hell's deepest depths just yet. There was no way the initiation into this monster caterpillar family would end so meagerly. He rolled up my clothes and brushed across my navel with the wet tube.
無理、そんなとこ刺されたら死んじゃうから。やだ。
He ruthlessly stabbed the tube between my skin and the underlying fat this time. With ominous grunts, he violently thrusted in and out. And then came that chilling roar again. It's like this is like weird rape. The fuck? Another fist-sized lump swelled up on the right side of my navel, as yet another garnishly colored spot pattern rose from the limb. At this rate, my whole body truly would be covered in those disgusting caterpillar spots. There was no way he would. The tube moved towards the center of my chest. Then I understand, and then the other side of my left breast.
きれいな模様にしてあげまちゅからね。あげまちゅからね。
やだよ。芋虫の家族になんかならないから。もうやめて。
I was trapped in a tumultuous cycle. First would come the grunting, then the stabbing, then the roaring, and then... It hurt. It hurt. It hurt. It hurt. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. The Siege King let out the same chilling roar over and over again. Over time, I lost the will to scream. My left breast became a fat lump and swelled up. Pleased by his actions, the monster took interest into my right breast next. Grunting, stabbing, roaring. Grunting, stabbing, roaring. Grunting, stabbing, roaring. Pain, repulsion. The only way I could find some sort of escape from those was letting my heart freeze over. The Prince of the Monsoon wouldn't be coming to save me. Every time I regained consciousness, I found myself being rolled face up or face down. I could see those disgusting swollen lumps all over my body. Lumps? No, that wasn't right. My whole body was swelling up. By now, I was already a caterpillar monster.
おー、スズムンナッチキコチいらっしゃい。
Well, that was a fucked up dream.
こんにちは先輩。
Nightmare.
メールありがとうございます。
あ、もうやってるんですか？手伝います。
俺夕方に近所のガキどもとデュエルの約束があるんだけどな。
You mean, Yu-Gi-Oh? What the hell?
手伝えるところまででいいからさ。
The LCSC's club room was a spare room near the infirmary. Though the school was a mammoth in size, even it couldn't escape the consequences of declining national birth rate. Wait, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Meaning, with each year, there were more and more spare classrooms. Thus, the LCSC was using one of them as a makeshift club room. Missy Nagata wasn't around. She was the school doctor, so she couldn't always be in the club room. It was common for her to have to leave to help the students who got hurt into the sports clubs. The room was packed to the grills with piles of cardboard boxes of varying sizes. Inside were old sweaters, unopened gifts, and well-used microwaves, TVs, and so on. The boxes were filled to the brim with such objects.
不良品って結構あるもんなんですね。
新品も結構あるよ。もったいないもったいないだね。
こいつを整頓して目録を作るのか。こりゃ骨だな。
まあぼちぼちやろうよ。2、3日で終わるもんじゃないっしょ。
All these items had been gathered to sell off at the rummage sale. After all, this was an era where it cost more money just to get rid of a large object. So if the school was sent out a notice to parents asking for donations of unwanted items for the rummaging sale, it'd come up in droves. And the parents indeed came in cars stuffed with unwanted items, piling them up one after the next.
これを分類して目録を作ってどうするかを決めるわけね。
I thought she was out.
あ、雛形先生。
ごめんなさいね。私ちょっと今手が離せないの。やれるとこまででいいからお願いしちゃっていい？あいよともゆん。ガッテン承知の助さ。
ったく俺にはゴミの山にしか見えねえぜ。
ゴミの山も分類すれば宝の山って言うよ。頑張って分類してトレジャーしちゃおう。阪神と東北と熊本の3つの大震災で多くの教訓が得られたからね。 市に援助物資という名のガラクタ詰め合わせを送りつけるのは単なる嫌がらせでしかないから。
そうですね。ボランティアは自己満足でなく、相手のニーズに繊細に対応する必要がありますね。
もうスズムン、その回答100点満点。
さすがはグレイトな男。確かにな、どんな強力なレアカードも整理しなきゃデッキには入れられねえ。
じゃあ手分けしてキリキリ頑張りましょう。いいのいいの、のんびりダラダラで。こんだけ量があるんだから、おしゃべりでもしながら気楽に行こう。
In actuality, we plan on spending all of next Sunday taking care of this. But as per club resident Minobe's orders, we decided to do the work at a time after school each day.
これは何だろう。
タオル、手ぬぐいかな。ほら、こんな風にかぶってひょっとこの面でもつけりゃ。
それきっとおむつだよ。使い捨てじゃないリターナブルの。
おむつ？
でも被災地じゃ水は貴重だから、使い捨ての方が便利だろうね。ほんじゃ、それはバザー行きで。
はい、じゃあこっちの箱へ。
The inventory was divided into 3 categories: disaster relief, rummage sale, and garbage. Unusual items with no apparent use would also show up from time to time, so the work was pretty interesting. But there were still loads of things to sort through. It seemed our time after school would be centered around this for the time being. Just then, the door opened. But it wasn't Miss Hinagara.
あれ、クロッチじゃん。メール見てくれたんだ。
Kuroki, as in Kurokami. I got it. However, she was staring out into space as always.
来てくれただけでも嬉しいよ。今日も調子悪そうだね。
I can imagine. What if the way things are happening is that Toe is fully aware of every. You know, I have a feeling what happened a while ago was like probably was a parallel world or something. I have no idea what it is, but Toe is fully aware of every single timeline or something. I have no idea. I think she's aware of what happened a while ago because the current MC doesn't even know what happened. Like, we did the introductory chapter and the MC somehow doesn't remember that stuff, but I have a feeling Toa does.
たまに来てくれるの。調子がいい時は手伝ったりもしてくれるんだけど。
黒髪ってなんでシャチホコ部にいるんだ？
Just for the lulls.
さあ、ほら、雛形先生って結構気まぐれだから。
She looked right into my eyes. Though she'd been staggering just a seconds ago, that all came to a stop. Meanwhile, I found myself staring right into her eyes too.
ああ、クロッチは初対面だよね。紹介するよ。我が部のニューホープの2人。ああ、同じクラスだっけか。あら。あれ、今日は調子。
Oh shit, I really think she remembers.
どうしてここに。タマヤの気まぐれじゃない？先週唐突に連れてきてさ。雛形。
By the way, I'm surprised to find out her her VA. Her VA is the same as Alice Thackeray's in Food Wars. I'm trying to remember her other roles, but that was the most memorable one, and I remember her having like a good voice. So we're having good talent here at least. I think she has another really good role, but I forgot about it. It was very rare to hear her say something. According to Minobe, that meant she was feeling good. Did that mean there was a chance she'd respond to me?
いや
Oh no. Her face wrenched with agony the moment I called out to her. So she really wasn't feeling well after all.
大丈夫？
夜な
She remembers, I think. But after I took a single step forward, Kurokami covered her face with a doll with her left hand while motioning for me to stop with her right. Sweat rose to the surface of her agonized face.
具合悪いの？雛形先生を呼んでくるよ。
夜なと言っている。
どうして？
お前の汚れが苦しい。
And with that, Kurokami turned around, still fighting back the agony. I couldn't think of anything to say to her.
トエてめえいつまでほっつき歩いてんだよ。今日は先輩とカラオケ行くんだよ。たまには少しマシな顔でお酌くらいしてみせろよな。
はい、将様。
お前ら行くぞ。
Kaminuma wrapped his arm around Kurokami and dragged her closer, then left with his followers.
黒髪さん。
スズもクロッチに嫌われてる？クロッチがあんなこと言うとこなんて初めて見た。気にすることないよ。黒髪さんが意味のないことを言うなんていつものことだよ。たまたま体調と機嫌が悪かっただけに違いないよ。
そうだね。
セスハラのグレイトさがわからねえとはな。いけすかない女だぜ。
おかしな男が言い名付けだしさ、気苦労も絶えないんだよ、きっと。
We worked all through the afternoon. Natsu had made plans with friends, so he left early on. But we just kept working and managed to make quite a dent in our workload.
僕、見延先輩に謝らなきゃいけないです。
何が？
Initially, I'd assumed that she was kind of lazy from her general demeanor. But the past few days have proven me wrong. She was always proactively carrying out the club's activities. She really was an ideal president. And she was fun to hang around, to boot.
先輩のこと改めて尊敬しました。やっぱり社長コブに入ってよかったと思います。
私も最初は先輩のこと誤解してました。でも先輩はいつも暗くなるまで部室でたった一人でも仕事をしてる。まあ帰ってもすることとかないしね。
Oh shit, that kind of means something.
家帰
I
って
have to
も
take that into note.
親が勉強しろしろうるさいだけだし。
Or maybe I'm overthinking it. Let's find out. But she has the tendency to like be, you know, saying things are fine, but things aren't actually fine. She tried laughing it off, but I wasn't fooled anymore. No, you could say that was her very essence. The same went for our training. It's easier to work yourself hard until it shows on your face. But with her, she just relaxed and had fun, no matter what she did.
僕も見習わなくちゃ。
そういえばスズムンって空手をやってんだって？やってますやってます。毎日夕方には道着を着て裏庭で稽古してますよ。
I like punching trees.
何それかっこいい。あ、ねえねえ、あのさ。
Minobe walked ahead of us, then turned around and spoke.
おいらもスズムンのかっこいいとこ見て。
Oh, okay, I accidentally pressed that. too early. But it was a common misunderstanding. But the Suzuhara divine tribute style wasn't for fighting. Its primary goal was to sublimate a pure heart cultivated in training through martial arts. Then dedicate that to God.
なのにクロッチに汚れてるとか言われちゃショックだよね。
僕の修行がまだ未熟だからだと思います。
先輩、麦茶入れてきました。
I wanted to be like my father and hold martial arts demonstrations at temples and shrines someday. Any corruption had to be purged before that was possible. I had to free myself from obstructed thoughts and hone my spirit. The apartment's complex backyard was my training ground. I channeled all my spirit into my fists and punched a cherry blossom tree with a straw wrapped around it. I was a bit sluggish today. I really did have a long way to go if Minobu's presence was enough to dull my fists.
すごいね。よく素手で木をパンチして痛くないもんだね。砂を詰めたバケツをパンチしてることもありますよ。
I like punching trees and sands.
すずむかっこいい。おいら惚れちゃいそうだ。
集中集中。
I trained to the bone until the sky turned indigo, then took a shower and had dinner. Kiko's mom always cooked our evening meals. I took my shower and went to room 101, only to find Minobu there as well. Oh,
おー、すずむ。シャンプーの香りで
she stayed. Oh my god. But, okay.
お母さんが夕飯を一緒にどうって言ってくれたの。おいら、畳の上で家族ご飯食べるの割と憧れだったんだ。
Oh, this is regarding her nightmare. Consider your nightmare.
僕も一人っ子だから賑やかなご飯はすごく楽しいです。
つばきこ、配膳手伝って。
すずむくん、テレビのリモコンを取ってもらっていいかい？
はい、どうぞ。
見延さんは野球とか見る？
いや、見たことないです。
じゃあ一緒に見ようか。楽しいぞ。
お待たせだよ。
はい、先輩。どう？
ありがとう。
Everyone sat together and began eating. We were having some somen and tempura for dinner. Oh man, that would be nice to have for dinner tonight. Just seeing the ice cubes floating atop the soup in our glass bowls was enough to cool us down. Though it wasn't quite summer yet. The days had been hot and sweaty, so this was the perfect dish.
すごい。そうめんってこんなに美味しかったんだ。氷が入って冷えてるだけでこんなにも美味しくなるんだね。
Wait, you ate salmon hot? I thought it was only eaten cold. Never mind.
先輩の家のおそうめんって違うんですか？おいらの家のは茹でたのに流水をかけただけのぬるい
Oh, yeah, they should have it with ice.
すぐベタベタになってくっついて塊になっちゃって食べづらいし美味しくないし嫌いだったはずなのにこんなに美味しいなんて知らなかったな。
Minobe lowered her head a little sadly. I knew it, she has family issues. But she was back to her usual cheerful smile by the time she raised her head. Afterwards, we all watched with excitement as the baseball game kept going back and forth. It was completely dark outside, but we kept on spending time like a happy family. Having been invited to take a bath, Minobe went to Kiko's apartment for a shower.
先輩、今日は私のとこにお泊まりしていくことになってるの。
That feels so sudden.
そうだったんだ。キコちゃんと先輩はやっぱり仲良しだったんだね。
フレンドだよ。
Friendo. She has a lot of Japlish.
じゃあすずむ、おやすみ。
おやすみ。また明日。
We didn't really do anything all that special, but it had been a fun day. I bask in those memories as I soak in the bath.
社長コブに入って本当に良かったな。キコちゃんや夏くんとも一緒だし、見延先輩は面白くて尊敬できる人だし。
And though she may not have liked me at the moment, I hope Kurakami and I could be friends someday.
楽しいな、毎日が。こんな生活の機会をくれた両親にも感謝しなくちゃ。
I had to reflect more carefully on how blessed I was that I could say that. Minobe had said it herself at yesterday's fundraiser.
両親に感謝できるってこと自体、幸運にたくさん恵まれてたと自覚するべきだろうね。
I have a bad feeling about Kanai's situation. I mean, we already have I'm starting to get an idea.
もっと先輩と話したいな。
Yo, this is the romance route. Shame this is like a one route thing, so you know they're gonna get close and like happens. You just know. She was probably lying around in Kiko's room, chatting. If I were a girl, I could have joined in on their conversations, but alas.
いいさ。社長コブでこれからもおしゃべりする機会はたくさんあるさ。
Knock? Let me see. 7:41. I still have a lot of time. I'm surprised. Feels like hardly anything happened. Things went by really quickly. Did I just hear something? Knock, knock. Huh. Knocking? Realizing that the knock signified a visitor, I sat up, eyes still clouded with sleep. I ran over to the door and opened it, very carelessly in hindsight. But since I was still half asleep, I had a hard time telling if that was a dream or not. So when I opened the door and saw the sight that awaited me, I was convinced I was still dreaming. I should have seen the same old scenery outside. But instead, I was faced with a wondrous world, the likes of which I'd never seen before.
起こしちゃってごめん。
見延先輩。
She wore a blue dress. Meanwhile, I realized I was still in my school uniform instead of my night clothes. Why am I, the MC, always wearing school clothes every single time? We were in a strange world where giant mushrooms with polka dots and star patterns upon them grew. I turned around only to discover even my place had become part of this bizarre land. It changed into a room from a cabin straight out of a fairy tale.
これ
ああ、ごめんね。深く考えないで。夢の続きだと思って。明日になったらさっぱり忘れてるから。
But I'll be right back. Restroom break. All right, let's continue.
夢の中の人にこれは夢だって言われるのは初めてです。
まあここではこっちが現実で向こうこそが夢なわけだけど、難しいことは考えなくていいよ。
Minobe laughed as she went inside. Just then, a clothed rabbit walking on his hind legs followed her. It was like something from a picture book.
おー、あなたがムーンスートの王子様。お会いできて光栄だよ。
The talking rabbit reached out for a handshake. Yep, this had to be a dream.
そうそう、王子様は深く考えなくていいの。
Oh, so the MC is considered the Prince of Monsoot. Considering he was, she was like saying that even the Prince of Monsoot was able to save me or something like that earlier in the game. So
夢の中だと思ってた方がきっと楽だと思うから。
王子様って僕のことですか？
そう、私はここではお姫様、不思議の国のエリス姫。
Ellis, I felt like I heard that name from Minobe yesterday. As I stood in blank amazement, several rabbits walked right past me, carrying tea sets, and they all set the table one after the next.
エリス、準備ができたよ。うん、ありがとう。じゃあね。うん、ごゆっくり。全体進め。
Tea, pancakes, and beautiful silverware lined the table. The rabbits marched out in a mass once they finished setting up. They shut the door, leaving Minobe and I alone in the room rich with the fragrance of tea.
どうぞ召し上がれ。まったりしよう。
はい。
ほらほら、どうせ夢なんだから考えたら負けだって。
夢の中で夢って諭されるなんてやっぱりちょっとおかしいです。
My body eased a little once. I accepted what I was seeing as untrue. My senses still weren't fully in tune with it all, but I decided to accept Minobe's suggestion. I chose to sit in one of the cute fairy tale-esque chairs and have some tea. Minobe lifted the teacup, then traced the saucer with a lonely smile.
今日のさ、お夕飯のそうめん、一番驚いたのは氷が入ってたからとかじゃないんだよね。うちお母さんが家事とかめんどくさがるたちでさ、お皿洗いたくないからって、お皿はみんな紙皿を使うんだ。
洗わないで捨てればいいから確かに手間はかからないですね。
紙皿ってさ、紙の味が移るから嫌いなんだよね。それに料理によってはベタベタと張り付いちゃって、お箸で取ると紙皿の表面の紙が張り付いちゃうんだよ。最初の頃は律儀にその紙を剥がしてたけど、だんだんめんどくさくなってきて、そのうちちぎれた紙が張り付いたままで口に運ぶようになって、だんだん何を食べてもみんな同じ紙の味に感じるようになってきちゃってさ。だからあんな綺麗なガラスの器で本当に久しぶりで、久しぶりで。
Damn, could I? Oh yeah, she's poor. Damn. The Minobe was smiling. There were tears in her eyes.
先輩。
嫌だった。髪が張り付いたままのおかずを食べるのに慣れてる自分が、お母さんのめんどくさがり屋なとこ嫌いなくせに、私もお母さんと変わらないめんどくさがり屋なんだなって。
先輩はめんどくさがり屋なんかじゃないです。
そうかな。
僕は今日まで先輩のさまざまなことを見てきました。めんどくさがり屋なんてとんでもない。先輩は誰よりも真面目にコツコツと積み上げる。もしも先輩に気の毒なことがあったとしたら、誰よりも努力家であることを褒めてもらえなかったことだと思います。
That's some MC words here.
進む。
I brought my chair over to Minobe and let her rest her head on my shoulder. That's some MC moves there. This was the only way I could convey my feelings. Come to think of it, I called her by her last name. That was supposed to be my way of showing her due respect, but perhaps it sounded like I viewed her as a stranger. Looking at her over my shoulder drove home just how tiny she was. She was so dainty that I probably would have thought she was younger than me if we met under different circumstances. Oh, come to figure why she's small. She probably had a malnourished youth or something. After all, I already misread her by her laid-back attitude at first, didn't I?
僕に力になれることがあったら何でも言ってください。いつでもどんな時でも必ず力になりますから。
嬉しいな。その言葉だけでもすごい救われる。
She perched her head against my shoulder. Though she sounded happy, I could hear her sniffle. While her face was hidden, I could read her mind. My heart ached for the burden she was carrying day after day.
やっぱりスズムは王子様だね。
ここって以前話してくれた不思議の国なんですよね。ここでは見延かなえじゃなくてエリスだって言ってましたよね。
そう、不思議の国のエリス姫なんだ。
じゃあここでは僕が王子様でもいいんだ。だってここは不思議の国という向こうとは違う。
本当にいいの？だって姫様と王子様がいたら恋に落ちちゃうって。
Wait, what? MC time.
ここは不思議の国じゃないですか。
Damn, his words.
不思議の国でお姫様と王子様が出会ったら僕もそれが必然だと思います。
おいら重たいよ。
鍛えてますから平気です。
I punch trees, bro.
そうじゃなくて、おいらいろいろと重たい女だから。
僕はその真逆で几帳面が過ぎる性格ですので、案外2つ混ぜたらバランスがいいかもしれないです。
本当だね。
She raised her head, put her hands on my shoulder, and looked deep in my eyes.
スズムンとはもうちょっとだけ早く会えてたらな。そうしたら一番綺麗な私で会えたのに。
Oh, are you talking about her being a caterpillar, or like she did something fucked up already?
汚れたってすすけたって何も変わらないです。
Yeah, that's some real words, boy. Good words.
僕だって転んだってすりむいたって僕なんです。
Why is it so hot today?
そうじゃなくて、大好きなスズムンに一番綺麗な私を捧げたかったなって。
今が一番綺麗です。
ありがとう。
Yeah, but we already know Suzumu from the first introductory chapter. He tends to say a lot of words and fuck it up. Her nose tickled my own, and my lip, and then her lips, soft as an angel's feather, kissed my own. They were really ticklish. We soon parted our lips and looked up at me with stern eyes and flushed cheeks.
一応お姉さんだしリードしなきゃって思って。
Okay, One-san. She jerked her head away as though concealing her embarrassment. The gesture was absolutely adorable.
ちょっと失望した。はしたない女だと思った。
思わないです。仮にそうだったとしても何も失望したりするものか。ありのままの本当の姿を受け入れるのが王子様の役目だって。
Oh, I don't like how he says this. Like, I believe it's the prince's job, but what about yours? Your feelings about it.
かっこよすぎるぞ王子様。本当に。
We already know Suzumu already fucked up once, so I'm not surprised if he fucks up again, but how are we gonna go through the entire story if he fucks up again?
本当に私の本当の姿
Even if I'm a caterpillar monster.
受け入れてくれる？
もちろん。
And when I nodded, tears finally burst free from her eyes. Silver teardrops straying from ear to ear grin.
後悔したらぶっ殺すから。
Oh shit, I know this is not gonna end well.
後悔なんかするもんか。
じゃあ絶対だよ。絶対に受け入れてね。
I just like how the music stops when she said that. And I'm like, oh, you made a promise you can't turn back on.
できない。
I'm gonna turn into a caterpillar monster.
大丈夫？
I could see sweat gathering on her face. Something wasn't right. It was like she was resisting something. Despite that, she rose slowly from her chair. Was she not feeling well? Or maybe she had been feeling sick for a while now. She touched her stomach. No, slightly slower. The slight sensation caused her to groan. I was about to tell her she should sit back down, but then she grabbed her skirt.
絶対に
She's gonna turn into a caterpillar monster.
目を離す。
Minobe gave a strained smile. She started pulling up her skirt little by little. Her knees were exposed, followed by pristine thighs. However, she kept rolling it up like a stage curtain. She even exposed her underwear. And finally, she exposed herself all the way up to her navel.
何を？
Henshin! Come on. She grinned again, still holding up her skirt. Of course, her face is still clammy. She then reached for the silver knight by the pancake. I'm gonna turn into a caterpillar. I'm gonna stab myself to remove the fake skin.
どうしちゃったんですか？
Her eyes were clarities, her cheeks flushed, and her sweat breath sweet. I stood frozen as though under some spell. A moment later, she took the knife and caressed her abdomen with it. The contrast between her sweaty skin and the silver knife was beautiful beyond compare. And all of a sudden, the white tablecloth was painted with red splash. Minobe had plunged the knife right into her abdomen.
何を？
I'm gonna turn into a caterpillar! It should have hurt, yet she only endured it with a strained smile, gesturing for me to stop. She dug the blade in even deeper until she finally reached something. and then I heard the ripping sound. With that, something gushed out, but it wasn't blood, but rather a milky white mucus mixed with the blood. It splashed out in drops. Yet she paid no heed, even as it dripped down and stuck to her legs. Eventually, it stopped pouring out. She gripped the blade and twisted all around inside her. She cut the horizontal line across her body as if slitting her own stomach all the way open. My heart was screaming at me to stop her. But I was merely stupefied. Oh, that was stupefaction. It would have been so much easier if I were to faint at that very moment. But all I could do was stare transfixed, as though paralyzed in the snake's gaze. She cleaved across her abdomen as though performing a C-section. Oddly enough, no more of that blood and mucus was spilling out. She opened a vast gaping hole in her stomach. Afterwards, she checked with her fingers and dropped the knife. It fell to the floor with a clang, but the sound failed to bring her back to her senses, and the horror before me continued. I could never have imagined this. That sound signaled the start of something even more repulsive.
これくらいでいい。
Turned into a caterpillar. She stuck her thumbs into the gaping wound, and then there was a tearing sound, followed by wet noises, with a slip, like she was taking off a tight pair of pants. She stripped off her lower half.
スズメに会いたかったな。
I like this face. It's like the yandere face. I like this.
人間のうちに。
Once she finished removing the skin of her human legs, I was greeted by 2 rows of countless other appendages. They wiggled around her bottom half, covered in repulsive dark red spots like a caterpillar's. Though she was the same girl in the dress on top, her bottom was that of a massive, horrifying caterpillar. What's more, part of it was sticking out like a giant needle. Its tip shook, drift forth what looked like blood and mucus. I froze the moment I realized it pointed right at me.
ダメ。
I'm gonna turn you into a caterpillar.
スズメのこと好きすぎて。
The caterpillar human slithered my way and looked down as if it were about to crush me.
スズメのこと家族に迎えたい。
She brought the sharp protrusion closer and closer to my chest. My mind had gone blank long ago. If I were to laugh, would all this turn out to be one big practical joke? The thought helped me force an awkward smile onto my stunned face.
先輩、僕よくわからないです。
I took everything I had just to stand up and stagger away, let alone ask for that. But neither my face nor words could conceal my revulsion I felt. She must have felt hurt and angered.
だよね。こんな汚らわしい姿。
I knew it, he fucked up.
受け入れられない。
I knew it, he fucked up. This always happens with this guy. At least the first 2 times.
でもね、私だってもう自分で自分が。
Give me a second.
けがわからないんだ。迎えたいの、家族に。スズムンを芋虫ランドに、全身にびっしり私と同じ毒々芋虫まだらん模様。スズムンとお揃いの毒々まだら模様したい。
I saw the tip of her tube oozing mucus ting with a repulsive hue. I let out the shrillest scream of my I let out the shrillest scream of my life. I fell on all fours and started crawling away as fast as I could. I had to get out of here. If I didn't, then that thing got me and I'd... So, this really was a bad dream. Yes, this was all a dream. Hadn't I already known that from the start?
逃げられないよ。だってここは私の不思議な国。もうスズムンは私のものなんだよ。
Minobe laughed at my sad state as I pathetically crawled at the door. She threw her head back and took a deep, deep breath and filled her cheeks. I screamed again when I felt long hair spray across me. No, it wasn't hair. It was like white floss. I understood. That was silk. Caterpillar's silk. Minobe was shooting thin yet solid silk threads at me, trying to wrap me like a cocoon. I couldn't break it up. I couldn't break it no matter how much I struggled. I felt my body being constricted by the silk as I tried to resist. Wait, if they're a caterpillar, they can't turn into butterflies? Anyway, that was a random thought.
怯えなくていいよ、スズムン。まあでも無理な話だよね。
先輩は何がしたいんですか？
スズムンにブルブルビクビクうずいて綺麗な毒々模様が浮き出すカップ。スズムンの全身にくまなく全部に。スズムンの綺麗なところにもないところにも難しいところにも全部
そんなもので全身を刺されたら死んじゃいます。
結構痛いからね。でも下手に抵抗するとその方がかえって痛いよ。おとなしくしてた方がいいかな。でもね、進む。私は誰が家族でもいいわけじゃないの。そういうクズもいるだろうとは思うよ。家族が増やせれば誰でもいいっていうクズも。でも私はこれがとても神聖な契りにきっと違いないと思ってるから。
Susumu, you had a vow and promise, so get ready to get fucked.
大好きなスズムン以外の誰も考えなかったんだよ。
Taken at face value, her words were a beautiful confession of love that one should be beyond honor to receive. And who would believe a declaration like that when it was coming from a giant caterpillar binding me with a silk?
スズムンのこと 一目惚れなんて少女漫画の中のことだけだと思ってたけれど、あるんだね、本当に。君を見て私はずっと恋に胸が苦しい夜を過ごしたんだな。
僕を一目惚れしてくれたのはすごく嬉しいです。僕も先輩と話していて楽しかったし、一緒に過ごしてもっと一緒にいたいと思ったりもしました。でもだからこそ相手の嫌がることなんてできないんじゃないですか。
こういう感情ってやっぱりけだものに通じるから重欲って言うんだろうね。大好きなスズムンだからこそ、スズムンの嫌がることなんてしたくないって気持ち。
じゃあ
でもね、そんなの関係なく大好きなスズムンを無理やり毒々芋虫にしてやりたいって。
I really like this face she's making. I really like this. Reminded me of what show was that? That was a really good show.
そういう気持ちも抑えられないくらいに湧いてくるの。変だよね。変だと思う。全身に管を突き立てられて、中にブリブリと気持ち悪いコブを作られるのって、すっごく辛いこと。それが分かってるはずなのに、それでもなお私の汚らしいドロドロの管でブリブリとスズメンの全身をおかしくしたい。
Just when I thought I finally got getting through to her, her eyes glazed over, making it perfectly clear a sane conversation was far beyond her grasp. Just as she said, she was being controlled by carnal instinct and was completely lacking in reason. Humans were far from perfect. They all had desires that they were powerless to stop. Hunger, thirst, lust, for starters. There was no way Minobe could be reasoned when enslaved by such emotions. All she wanted was one thing: to stab me with that tube all over and to scrape my body with those ghastly caterpillar spots.
スズメンのことが大好きだから、無理やりだけど無理やりじゃないの。スズメンの覚悟が終わるまで私は待っててあげる。
It's good to know she's giving it some time. She caressed my face with a bewitching smile and stroked my body from head to toe with a slimy protrusion. All of a sudden, everything shook with a rumble. It's Aaron coming. The teaspoons rang on the table. Minobu's face froze, and she looked around in confusion. There it was again. Another rumble. It was stronger than the last one. Some dust fell from the ceiling. Minobu's face darkened.
何事ですか？
It's Aaron.
静かに。
Minobe pressed a finger to my lip and slid her to the door. She opened the door and went outside. There was a perfect chance to escape, but I couldn't break free of the silk no matter how hard I tried. However, I could still roll in it. I had to hide somewhere until Minobe came to her senses. I rolled and crawled like a caterpillar myself, aiming for the door. When there were several loud thumps, followed by the ground shaking, I could tell whatever was causing the shaking wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was the sound of a new terror, far beyond the likes of Minobe. Those tremors felt like a giant's footsteps. Just when I was a hair's breadth away from exit, Minobe came back. She lifted me up and tossed me to the ground.
ごめんねスズム、少しおとなしくしてて。ったく、あんな化け物どこから。
I like how they stop from having their cutesy voice and they show their real self. Her face was stricken with worry. Minobe was more than enough of a monster herself at this point, yet here she was calling something else a monster. I couldn't doubt it any longer. These tremors were the sounds of a massive creature stomping around. Minobe locked the door, but that wouldn't do any good against something so gargantuan. She threw her head back, took another deep breath, and started spewing silk threads once again. She used it to block the door like a spider web, but then that wasn't enough for her. She started creeping around the whole room. Before long, the whole room was covered in silk. As she did, the monster outside finally reached the door. The entire room shook with a shockwave unlike any before, but Minobe's threads were sturdy. The door didn't break no matter how much the room rumbled or how much dust fell from the ceiling.
スズメは私のもの。スズメは私のもの。
I love this yandere thing. Minobe repeated like a mantra as she kept circling the room, covering it with even more silk. Eventually, all I could see was silk. It was like a blizzard had passed through the room, but Minobe just kept on going. She continued circling around until she started creeping across the walls and the ceiling. Everything turned into pure white womb made of silk.
誰にも邪魔はさせない。邪魔はさせないよ。スズメは私のもの。私のものなんだから。
Just then, the fiercest tremor yet stuck, knocking Minobe off the ceiling. And then I saw it. The sky. No, the ceiling being torn and wrenched open by a massive black claws. The ceiling was torn off and splinters fell everywhere. With that, a gaping wide hole to the sky was revealed. A giant shadow stood against the purple sky looking down on us. The monster was as big as a skyscraper. Okay, I know what this is. This is Kunokami. I like this. This evil black hair hung from its head like a willow tree, framed by two bent branches. Its razor-sharp claws lunged for me. Minobe knocked me aside and charged at the giant black arms.
スズメは渡さない。渡さない。
Well, you know, this is why it's one route. Though she was a giant caterpillar, Minobe was still the same size as a human. She wasn't even as tall as the monster's fist. It was clear who was at a disadvantage here. The monster let out a earth-shattering howl and moan. Minobe must have been stabbed with her tube, but all that did was anger the giant. It swiftly grabbed Minobe, wrapped its gargantuan hands around her. The monster carried her up into the sky as though she was just a doll. I like it when they lose their cutesy voice. I could hear Minobe's voice high in the pitch black sky. Before long, agony started seeping into her cries. All of a sudden, her shouts vanished right as soon as the sound of a branch snapping rang out. And with that, something came dripping down from up above. There were crushed entrails, followed by Minobe's arms, torso, and head. It crashed right into the floor and rolled toward me. And though she had been reduced to solely a head, Minobe was still conscious. Damn, I feel bad for the caterpillar girl. A single tear leaked from Minobe's eyes, and with that, her life came to an end. Suddenly, as thick as a log came down and squished her head like a quail egg. Well, this is like Evangelion all over again. Well, this is how the main girl defends herself from bitches and whores. The giant hand picked me up next, taking me up to the sky. I felt like I was going up the first hill up a particularly tall roller coaster. Though I was scared out of my mind, I couldn't help but laugh my heart out. And when I reached the top of the sky, I saw the moon. The last moon I'd ever see. The last sight I'd ever see in Wonderland. Well, that was a fucked up nightmare. I woke up to find myself sweaty and staring at the ceiling, my body contorted in an odd position. I felt as I just had the worst nightmare of my life, one that defied any explanation. The details had been so clear just moments earlier, but with every blink and wipe of my forehead, they faded further and further away. I took another look at the ceiling. It was the same wooden ceiling I had recently gotten used to. I got the impression that I couldn't calm down unless I made sure of that. Okay, I only have 30 minutes left. Minobe had said dreams could be another reality, didn't she? What if I felt was dissonance from that reality not connecting to this one? But something like that couldn't possibly exist. That was a dream, and this was reality. I took a deep breath to calm down. I must have been that bizarre dream because I was conscious of the fact Minobe was sleeping over next door. That had to be it. That dream. It only just had been Minobe's arms, torso, and head all crushed and ripped to pieces. Yeah, that's gonna fuck up anyone. The dream connected to reality. The moonlight seeped into my room, revealing liberal splashes of blood painted all over. Scattered chunks of meat littered around. Among them included squashed arms and a severed torso. And just like that in my dream, Minobe's crushed head lying right next to my pillow. Oh, this is gonna fuck me up. I screamed at the top of my lungs and burst out of my room. I couldn't resist the fear engraved in my cells, shouting at me to flee from the scene of her death. It was only when I got outside I realized I had to call for help. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. Though I was panicking, another part of me calmly assessed that I would be the prime suspect here. I don't know what happened. I had nothing to do with it. I couldn't have killed her. After all, Minobe was in Keiko's room. There was no way she could have been in mine. Then, how was I so sure that immediately a corpse thrown across my room was Minobe's? It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It couldn't be. I mean, there wasn't even a drop of blood in my hands. But all of that could wait. I had to call the police. I pounded on the door to the apartment 201. My phone was in my room, but I'd be damned if I ever went back there. But perhaps because I've been hitting it too hard, the door fell off its hinges. I mean, this is a guy who punches trees. Just as I began worrying I'd broken it, the door fell in the pitch black darkness. What? I didn't have any idea how, but there it was. Apartment 201 was a black space with nothing inside it. There was no sound of the door hitting the ground. It was simply swallowed into the bottomless darkness and faded in without noise. Almost like they'd only built the apartment complex halls and forgotten to build Kiko's apartment. It was only then I noticed what was wrong with the world. I was outside on the second floor of the complex. The complex, doors, windows, walls, door, and rails were all there. All of them were normal. All of them were there. But everything else was gone. The roads, telephone lines, street lights, houses lining the streets all vanished without a trace. Everything apart from this apartment complex had been painted out over with pure darkness. Only the dim shine of the fluorescent lamps illuminated this world. I believed that I returned from the world of nightmares to the real world. Wait. The real world? Just then I heard footsteps approaching. Someone was heading up the staircase to this floor. That someone was the shadow of a dark girl. A shadow so dark, not even the faint lamplight could illuminate it. A moment later, recognition came to me. That bizarre figure with the long black hair and withered branches jutting out of their head had looked down on me in that nightmare world. Suddenly, something stuck out from within the shadow. It was small. Fuck! You know what? Hina Matsuri is coming soon. Hina Matsuri is coming in March 3. I got a message to celebrate it. You know, put the demons into the Hina doll. Oh my god, this isn't working out so well for me right now. Shit. It was a small Japanese doll that I'd seen somewhere before. Pale arms were holding it out from within the shadow. In the plop, the doll's tiny head fell off. Its arms, torso broke apart and followed suit, scattering at the shadow's feet. With that, the veiled hand stuck even further out, and the girl emerged from the shadow. I didn't mean that she was the one projecting the shadow. I meant she literally walked out from within it. I knew her. She stepped towards me, trampling over the scattered doll, and spread her hands out as if it were to embrace me.
お前は私のもの。
Yeah, not even in dreams. Not even in dreams. She wouldn't let any girl get close to him. Yeah.
誰にも渡さない。
Kurakami and the female shadow spread their arms and engulfed me. Wait, what? This is another opening song? What the hell? What is going on? Are you telling me in each route this happens? What is going on? Wait, what the hell is going on? Are you telling me in every route there's like... Are you telling me that each chapter is like... Oh, I see what's going on. This is sort of like parallel worlds or something. So this is like an introductory chapter to a girl. Then we're gonna have another introductory chapter again, and we're gonna have another introductory chapter. I don't get. I don't. This is some crazy shit. Oh, I realized it's not showing in stream. Like, yeah, the thing is just showing in stream. Jesus Christ, man. So we had the opening song again for the second time. So I'm guessing we're starting another round again. I think this is what. Yeah, we are starting a new route.
お掃除プリンセスマジカルリリーが素敵な魔法でみんなをハッピーハッピーハッピーハロローお掃除の国のプリンセスマジカルリリーだよ今日はこのお部屋にお友達がみんなで来てくれるのちょっぴり気になる男の子もいていい
I felt everyone's eyes on me as I walked. I used to hate it, but not so much these days. Deep down, I wanted to wink at every last one of them, but sorry, school rules and all. It had been a long time since I'd gone to the LCSC. I hadn't been over there since the decision to add me to the Flower High. Despite that, it didn't feel right that I'd only come back when I needed something from them, like today. Well, since I was dropping by, I had to make good use of the opportunity. The LCSC met in the empty classroom near the infirmary. At best, Minobe, Harumiya, and Miss Hinagata would be there. Huh? Was that a guy's voice just now? But I thought the LCSC didn't have any guys. I started to have the strangest feeling, like something new and wonderful was about to happen. Inside, two guys and girls of the LCSC were sorting through goods for the rummaging sale.
こんにちは。お久しぶりです。あ、リリアちゃん。お久しぶりだね。お仕事相変わらず忙しい？おかげさまで日々の多忙を楽しんでいます。
One of the guys was looking at me with confusion, while the other's eyes had grown wide as a saucer. We all stared at each other, clearly thinking, "Who are you?" But I could tell from the color of their uniforms that they were juniors. In other words, they were my upperclassmen. Time to learn up the manners then.
布川さん、紹介するわ。我がシャチホコ部待望の男子部員の2人よ。はじめまして、先輩方。1年の布川リリアです。
リリアってクルスリリアちゃんいやマジでいや本当にわーわーわー
クルスってのは芸名なんだって。本名は布川リリアちゃん。
この学校に通ってるって噂は聞いたことあったけど本当にいたなんてうわっブギブギギャババーン
篤田くんが壊れた。ひょっとしてクルスリリアの大ファンだったり？
お掃除プリンセスマジカルリリー小学校の時ずっと見てたっす。俺リリアちゃんのずっとファンでした。握手してください。
I was very happy to hear he knew me, so I had to reward him for his enthusiasm.
ピカピカマジックでみんなのお家をクリンクリン。お掃除プリンセスマジカルリリーが素敵な魔法でみんなをハピハピハッピ
This is so exaggerated. He jumped up and down with excitement while making all sorts of bizarre noises. I used to think people like him were creepy and disrespectful, but eventually I realized it was because people like him that I could shine on.
はじめまして、クルスリリアです。お兄ちゃんの名前なんていうの？
篤田夏也って言います。
夏代お兄ちゃんって言うんだ。素敵な名前だね。うわー、ナッチドン引くわ。篤田くんってリリアちゃんの大ファンだったんだね。
マジカルリリーが俺の名前を呼んでくれた。グレート。
He was practically foaming at the mouth with joy. I was so glad. It was always best to give these guys what they wanted.
布川さんって芸能人なんだ。
知らない？昔テレビでやってたお掃除プリンセスマジカルリリーって。
ピカピカマジックでみんなのお家をクリンクリン。知らねえのかよ、すすはら。
テレビはあんまり見ないから。
She likes punching trees.
Oh no!
Oh no!
グレー マジカルリリーを知らないとは。アングレード。
I had a hard time dealing with people who didn't watch a lot of television, but within each one of them lay a potential fan, and converting them required steady effort. Perfect. I'd pull out all the stops and make him fall for my charms.
こんにちは、お兄ちゃん。クルスリリアです。お兄ちゃんのお名前教えてほしいな。
鈴原進だよ。よろしくね。クルス。
The moment our eyes met, it was as though someone had turned the lights off out on the whole world. The two of us were alone in the dark world, full of falling black snow. Felt like we were the only ones there. I never felt this way meeting another person before. It took all I had to hide my bewilderment, but Suzuhara's bright smile never faded. Could he not see this world, or was it because he could see it?
君は誰？
I just told him my name was Riria Kurusu. So what did he mean by that? Was it a philosophical question, or was there a malice behind it? However, his eyes bore no ill will. It was downright unnerving in this quiet world of black snow.
クルスリリアはお仕事の時の名前なの。学校では布川リリアって名前なんだ。
I tried matching his vibe to the best of my abilities, but the look on his face didn't change in the slightest. And for some reason, that hurt me more than anything. No, hold on. Why was I getting so worked up over a single greeting?
布川が本名で、クルスは芸名なんです。紛らわしかったらリリアと呼んでいただけると嬉しいです。鈴原先輩。
わかったよ。
ありがとうございます。
We just know he's being protected by Kurakami from bitches and whores.
君は不思議な子だね。
Those words were beyond hurtful and were enough to make me feel downright insecure. Just who was this guy?
鈴原！なんでお前だけ下の名前で呼ぶことが許されてるんだよ！
He's an MC. He has powers against thoughts and all that.
羨ましすぎ
And
る。
wait, powers against thoughts and all that. I'm talking about Kurakami's weird curse thing.
厚田先輩も私のことは気軽にリリアって呼んでくださいね。
リリアちゃん！
リリアもお仕事とはいえ、いろんな輩の相手大変だね。
I think I should call it in now because I should get started and work in 10 minutes. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the stream. I'll be continuing later after 5 o'clock. Then we're going to be doing Genshin after dinner and a continuation of this. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I'll see you guys on the later stream. Ciao.